question. It really depends upon where they're at in the stage of the company's development. I get asked that question a lot from really early stage companies that maybe don't have sales competency on staff. And so they're like, what are the first steps that you would take to get this product out into the marketplace? Right now, as the entrepreneur, I'm like the chief dishwasher and I'm our head salesperson. So how can I get this engine going? And I tell people a couple different things. I mean, first of all, scaling revenue isn't just about adding sales reps. I'm lucky because I've spent the past, 2 decades moving through progressively more, senior leadership roles within organizations, and I've had the good fortune of being able to work for companies that are early stage and are growing very rapidly because they're disruptors in their industry. I was the first sales leader at LivingSocial, and we went from 0 to unicorn in less than 2 years, which was a crazy wild ride. But it's not just about hey, let's just hire a bunch of salespeople. There's a whole infrastructure that has to be put in place and lots of different considerations. But I would say if I had to condense it down to just a couple of bullet points, I would say that building documented processes from the get-go will help accelerate things. That way, when things start going well and you're having great sales results, you have replicable processes that you can refer back to kind of accelerate your sales engine. I would say there is no excuse for not talking to customers every single day and getting that feedback loop. Even as an entrepreneur, it's easy to deprioritize, hey, I don't have time for that. That's why I hired a salesperson. You have to hear what customers are saying so that you can continue to iterate on your product, get ahead of the challenges and the obstacles for the sales team and accelerate your footprint in the marketplace. Constantly measuring and adjusting is important because you don't know where the bar is going to be. You don't know until you have a little bit more established sales team, is 10 sales per month achievable or is it 100 sales per month? So definitely constantly raising the bar and adjusting. And if you're not adept at doing this, hire somebody that knows something about sales compensation strategies. Because the one thing I can tell you is that salespeople will do exactly what they're paid to do. And that is the blessing and the curse of salespeople. So having great, well-defined compensation strategies that are going to drive the behaviors that you want and are really going to disincentivize the behaviors that you don't want is the quickest way to get your salespeople maximizing their capacity and really performing at a high rate. Also getting a good handle on the entire sales funnel so that you can fix leaks, you can optimize, and you can continue to iterate on the actual sales process. And when I mean each step of the funnel, understand what is my target market? How many targets are there in this particular territory or area that I'm asking my salespeople to call on? What is the capacity of the salesperson? How many can they contact per day, whether it's by phone or by email or doing walk-ins? Of those number of contacts, how many of those do we think should result in qualified appointments? Of those qualified appointments, how many of those should result in actual presentations with decision makers? Of the presentations that you do with decision makers, how many of those are going to result in follow-ups and ultimately in closed sales? You need to understand every single part of that funnel, because if you leave it to happenstance, a lot can go wrong. So as far as growing sales and revenue, I know that's a lot, but those are kind of the fundamental things that you need to take into consideration when you're getting ready to jump into those waters.